Hi everyone, I'm Kent Thompson,
And I'm Trevor Lawson.
and we're certified financial planners with Capital Financial Solutions here in North Raleigh.
We're excited this year to be sponsoring the Wake Tech Open House Plus 50 track for the third consecutive year in a row. The workshop we'll be providing is centered around educating women on pertinent retirement planning matters. We're especially honored this year to be participating in an event that's centered around healthy living, second careers, and savvy retirement options.
So after the webinar, feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions or if you'd like to schedule a time to sit down either virtually or in person to discuss your major concerns. Okay. Well, just as a brief introduction, my name is Kent Thompson. I've got a mask on. I hope you can hear me. I'm sitting here with Trevor Lawson. We are both certified financial planners working at Capital Financial Solutions. So I've been doing this for a while, as you might notice with my gray hair. Trevor has been in the business almost 10 years now. And you might wonder, why are we talking to women, two men talking to women about retirement planning? Well, I started getting involved with my mother about 10 years ago and helping her with some of the decisions she was having to make about Medicare and Social Security. I'm also in a group that visits assisted living homes in this area. We are part of a program called the Ombudsman, and we go in and look to see the quality of life for people in assisted living homes. So with some of these things in my background and Trevor's background, we have been doing a lot of planning with women about what's coming up over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 years.
And we'd like to start by thanking Samantha and the folks at Wake Tech for providing this opportunity. This is now the third year that Kent and I have sponsored this expo, and each year we have provided a similar workshop on how to help women make sound financial decisions that relates to their retirement. And so today we'll spend a few minutes with you walking you through several retirement challenges and tactics for addressing them as you approach retirement. If you do have questions, please hold them until the end, and Kent and I will take several minutes at the end of today's presentation to address each of your questions. And if for whatever reason our sound cuts out or you have difficulty viewing the screen, please input that in the chat box, and Samantha will let us know, and we can go back and repeat that information.
So Trevor, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, so it's going to take us a couple of clicks to share our screen. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody to our program. As I mentioned, my name is Kent Thompson. I'm here with Trevor Lawson. We're both certified financial planners. We are with a company called Capital Financial Solutions. We're an independent company. We are not affiliated with Prudential or any other insurance, investment, long-term care group. We simply use them as vendors or solutions for the people that we talk with, whatever kind of problem or concern that they have. We think that this is an important topic because as you start to approach retirement, there's a lot of choices that need to be made that can have a long-lasting effect. And not knowing the results of a choice that you might make could be a problem. So we're here to help you review and explore the different types of things that you have coming up to help make sure that you have the best ones going for you. This is where we are. We're located on Six Forks Road on the corner of Six Forks and Strickland, right behind Whole Foods. We are an independent group. We do our business through a group called Alliance.
So as we know, life happens, and in many families, women are the driving force that make everything happen. I bet many of you are leading a busy life and maybe juggling a combination of family, career, education, and maybe even caring for your aging parents. You've certainly got a lot going on in your day-to-day life. But while you're facing these busy challenges, it's important to take time to understand how the financial decisions you make today can impact tomorrow's challenges. And women are presented with a couple of unique challenges that Kent and I will spend some time highlighting and helping you think about how to address today. One of the biggest ones is women are living longer. So typically women outlive us men by 2 to 3 years, and that creates a significant planning opportunity to ensure that our money lasts that much longer as well. Another unique challenge is with women being the driving force behind most families, that can oftentimes lead to spending some time away from the workforce to stay with children or help with aging parents. And so during those times or years that we may be away from the workforce, how do we bridge any type of retirement savings gap that may have been created during that time? And to piggyback on that, oftentimes because of women serving as the primary caregiver, that creates the opportunity to catch up for retirement. And how do we go about making sure that when you are ready to make that transition into retirement, that your savings equates and helps you maintain the lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to? And so a couple key concepts we'll talk about today to help address those challenges are healthcare, which Kent will highlight. I will then talk about some Social Security planning strategies, spousal protection, how to make sure whether it's you or your spouse, if one of you predeceases the other, how do we make sure the surviving spouse is able to maintain their lifestyle? And then finally, Kent will close us out today with some thoughts around estate planning and the importance of that topic.
So one of the most important topics is healthcare cost. And that will tend to be the second largest expense going into. So we can say that a 65-year-old couple will end up spending over $280,000 for all of their medical expenses. That sort of thing is basically seen from things like Part B and Part D Medicare premiums, deductibles, co-insurance, co-pays, different things like that. Things that are not covered are things like acupuncture, routine dental or eye care, dentures, foot surgery, cosmetic surgery, hearing aids, and long-term care. So we can look at today's statistics and say, if you are in a nursing home, and nursing homes are the most critical and the most expensive places to be, and you can see that it could cost up to $102,000 a year. Home health care is what many people are trying to achieve, but that still can be up to $52,000 a year, especially if you're getting that same sort of skilled nursing care. Women are typically the higher population in a nursing home and assisted living home, about 70%. On average, women require 3.7 years of nursing home care, although in my experience with going to many of the assisted living and memory care homes, people who may have dementia have been there 5, 7, maybe as long as 10 years because they don't have a physical problem, they have more of a mental concern. Men do not stay as long, they do not last as long, and we're typically seeing a lesser population of men in assisted living. So there's basically two types of Medicare coverage, and there's what they call the unbundled traditional coverage and the bundled Medicare Advantage. So right now, if you are of the age of almost 65, you may be getting a lot of information in the mail talking about different types of coverage that you can be getting at this time. But basically, for unbundled traditional care, you have Part A, which is hospital insurance, Part B, which is medical insurance, and then a separate plan called Part D for prescription coverage. You may also consider, and a lot of people do, a Medigap or Medicare supplement program, which is optional. On the bundled side, Part C is called Medicare Advantage, and it is a combo or all-in-one plan that includes Parts A and B and oftentimes Part D. So just as a way of confusion, in my household, I have an Advantage plan, and my wife has a supplement, a Medicare supplement plan. So if you care to find out why, please feel free to give us a call later on.
Okay, so one of the hot topics, one of many in this ongoing presidential election is Social Security and how that could change under one president versus another. And so Kent and I are going to walk through a couple statistics as it relates to Social Security and help hopefully dispel some of the myths surrounding Social Security. So for any of you that have worked for 10 years and were subject to Social Security payroll tax, which most jobs are, you are going to be eligible for some type of Social Security benefit. And so that benefit is calculated based on the average of your 35 highest years of earnings. So for many folks that are in the state system who may be part of the pension system, many of you come to us and say, hey, I've reached my 30 years of service with the state. There's no benefit to me continuing to work. And that may be partially true from a pension standpoint, but Social Security is based on your 35 highest years of earnings. So for many people who continue to work beyond 30 years, your Social Security benefit does continue to increase because of that. So one of the most common questions we get is, when should I start my Social Security? Today, we are eligible as early as age 62 to start Social Security. For full retirement age Social Security, that is based on the year you were born. For most of you, that's going to be somewhere between age 66 and 67. And then your maximum Social Security benefit would be at age 70. And so beginning at age 62, when you become eligible, each year that you defer your Social Security benefits, that Social Security amount is going to go up by a guaranteed 8%. And so in today's very low interest rate environment, it is very difficult to find a guaranteed 8% growth rate. So delaying our Social Security benefits is one of the best ways right now to secure increased income in the future. However, Kent and I understand that everybody's situation is like a fingerprint. So it could make sense to start it early, and we can walk through the pros and cons associated with that. So one of the key things to look at when it comes to starting your Social Security early is, one, your family history. If you have a family history that leads you and your family to pass away prematurely, then it could make sense for us to think about starting Social Security early. If there's a spouse involved, maybe it makes sense to start yours and let theirs keep growing, or vice versa. But in either case, there's some break-even points associated with Social Security. So in this example, we're comparing age 62 to age 66. So what this shows is, if you live to age 76 or older, you are better off waiting until age 66 to start your Social Security. In this example, we're comparing starting Social Security at age 62 and comparing it to starting at age 70. Here, if you live beyond age 79, you were better off waiting until age 70 to start your Social Security benefit. And then lastly, when we compare 66 to age 70, the break-even age is 80. So if 81. So if you live beyond age 81, you are better off waiting until age 70 to start your Social Security benefit. This calculation can be done for all of you, and that's something Kent and I have helped a lot of folks with Wake Tech over the years. This slide, there's two takeaways. One, you used to get a lot of Social Security statements in the mail. That has since moved online. So for those of you that are curious, if you go to www.ssa.gov, you can create an account and retrieve your exact Social Security statement. There used to be some clever planning opportunities with Social Security. The restricted application strategy was one of them. If you were 62 before January 1st, 2016, come talk to Kent and I after today's presentation. There's going to be some unique planning opportunities to think through. So there's two types of Social Security benefits, really three. So there's your personal individual Social Security benefits. There's what's called spousal benefits, and then there's survivor benefits. So spousal benefits are where a married couple, one of the spouses is eligible for up to half of their spouse's Social Security benefit. So in other words, for the married couples on this call, when we look at planning for Social Security, when you get ready to start yours, your individual Social Security benefit is going to be the higher of your personal earnings Social Security or your spouse's. So if your spouse, in this example, let's say their Social Security is $2,500 per month, and your Social Security was going to be $800 per month, in that example, half of your spouse's Social Security would be higher than your personal Social Security benefits. So in that case, you would actually get spousal benefits rather than your own. Again, we can talk much more about this and whether or not it applies to your situation, but just be aware spousal benefits do exist in the Social Security system. Survivor Social Security benefits is another planning opportunity for us to be aware of. And so for those of you that are married, if something happens to you or your spouse, the surviving spouse is going to be eligible for the higher of their or their spouse's Social Security benefits. And those survivor benefits generally begin as early as age 60. And so for those of you, again, that are married, there's going to be some things to be aware of as it relates to when to start Social Security, because that ultimately ties into the survivor benefits if something should happen to you or your spouse. So retirement of yesterday and today look very different. So under your grandparents and great-grandparents' retirement years, the pension and Social Security were the primary sources of their retirement income. Today, more of that savings responsibility falls on the individual. And so we're seeing less Social Security and less pension make up one's retirement income, and more of that income comes from one's 401k and other savings. So just be aware that more of the savings is now falling on your plate because the cost of living continues to increase over time. So I mentioned 401k in the previous slide. And so the reason I mentioned that is because Wake Tech through Prudential offers the 401k and 457 plans. And so for many people, that becomes supplemental income in retirement. So for those of you that are taking advantage of those savings vehicles, just be aware that at age 72, the IRS makes you start taking income out of those savings vehicles. And so for many, this is more income, which on the flip side of that, that can create some unforeseen tax liability in retirement. And so for those of you that are saving, just be aware that eventually you're going to have to start taking money out of that 401k. And Kent and I can help you think through some creative tax minimization strategies as that time gets closer. So just these numbers are a little dated. At the end of last year, they actually increased the required minimum distribution start date to your age 72. So just be aware at age 72, you have to take out 3.91% of your account balance. So 3.91% must be taken out, and taxes must be paid on that to satisfy your required minimum distribution. So
a little bit about estate planning. We're starting to run a little bit long on our presentation, but there are some things to think about with estate planning. We do not prepare wills, but we do collaborate with many of the top attorneys in the area. And the thing we think is important is to have a will, consider a trust, most definitely have healthcare directives and a living will, powers of attorney, giving somebody else the opportunity to make decisions for you if you're not able to, thinking about life insurance, and most specifically making sure that your beneficiary designations are current and the way that you want them. Having people get something in a will does not affect what is a beneficiary designation. So you could say in your will that all of your money is going to go to a brother, sister, husband, whatever. But if you have a beneficiary designation, it will go as that beneficiary designation specifies. So we are very concerned about making sure that you have the designation set up right, and we would like to review those with you. It's one of the main things that we do. We think having a plan is a great idea. It's a blueprint for life. It's a blueprint for how you make decisions. And we have found that the peace of mind and the tranquility that comes about by having a plan is significant. Waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, worrying about whatever it might be, is certainly not a good thing. So we would recommend that you find a financial planner, sit down with that person, get your blueprint set up, and we are more than happy to speak with you. We offer complimentary consultations for anybody coming through this course, and feel free to get back in touch with us. So that's it for now, Samantha. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know.
And you can put your questions in the chat box, or if you would just like to unmute and ask your question, that is perfectly fine as well. I will put the link for you to schedule a meeting with Kent in the chat box as well. And I'll also provide a link to the video through YouTube in that chat as well.
Thank you, Samantha.
Hi, can I ask a question about Social Security?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Or just to make sure I understood what you were saying.
Okay.
So if you're in the situation where you can claim survivor benefits, you can claim that starting at 60 and hold off on your own benefits, and it does not reduce your own benefit when you take it later?
That's correct.
Okay, but you can't do that with the half spousal?
You used to be able to, not anymore,
Okay.
unless you were born prior to that.
Gotcha.
If you were 62 prior to January 1st, 2016,
okay.
you may still be eligible for that. But if not, then no, you're no longer eligible for that strategy
Okay, gotcha.
for spousal benefits.
All right. And the complimentary session, I know you guys are going to put a link there. That can be for a couple?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Brenda, Samantha, do they have our contact information?
I will put it in the chat box right now. I just put in the link to schedule a meeting with you, but I can also include your email as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So in the chat box, you can find Kent and Trevor's email. And so if you have any questions there, you can email them directly. It's a lot of information for most of us. So this is a great way for you to intake that information. And if you think about something later, you can always contact them at that time.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone's time today, and we'll look forward to connecting with you all on an individual basis if helpful.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, Kent and Trevor. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.